Kyoto is one of the most visited places in Japan, and for good reason. Its temples, gardens, and historic streets make it feel like taking a step back in time. I visited in autumn when the leaves were at their peak, and the whole city looked like a painting. A painting, of course, with a few thousand other people in it. But no matter when you visit, spring, summer, autumn, or winter, Kyoto is special. With over 1,000 temples and endless sightseeing options, planning a trip can feel overwhelming. That's why in this video, I'll take you through some of the most famous landmarks, as well as a few hidden gems recommended by a friend who's lived here for years. Along the way, I'll share tips to make your visit smoother and show you some of the best places to slow down, take a breath, and really enjoy the beauty of Kyoto. Kyoto is home to over 1,600 Buddhist temples and 400 Shinto shrines, which means you could spend a lifetime visiting them all. For a brief visit, you'll probably want to at least hit some of the most famous spots. After all, they're famous for good reason. I started with Kiyomizu-dera, one of Kyoto's most recognizable landmarks. The autumn colors were at their peak, and the view from the Hogon-in area was spectacular, looking back on the pagoda and main temple with Kyoto City in the background. Here are some tips to help you capture amazing souvenir photos. If you can use a polarizing filter, do it. It helps to reduce glare and brings out richer colors in buildings and foliage any time of year. Or, if you're using a smartphone, don't just take wide shots. Zoom in to capture details like temple rooftops peeking through the leaves. This is a great way to crop out the hundreds of people who are also visiting these spots. Next was Byodo-in. A bit south of central Kyoto, it's the temple you might recognize from Japan's 10-yen coin. It was more crowded than I expected, mostly with school groups making the pilgrimage to this historic site. But the temple's reflection in the water makes for some of Kyoto's most iconic photos. And Byodo-in is in the town of Uji, which is famous for matcha green tea. It's a good place to pick up your traditional green tea souvenirs. On the way back to central Kyoto, there's Fushimi Inari Taisha, famous for its thousands of bright orange torii gates. If you've seen photos of Kyoto, you've probably seen this place. But there's the thing, so has everyone else. Instagram usually makes it look like you'll have the whole place to yourself. In reality, you and 100 other people all trying to take the perfect shot will be jostling for space. Some people were waiting patiently, others had simply given up and decided to embrace the photobomb. Pro tip, if you can, come early in the morning. It's also just nice to walk around, and the further up you go, the less people you will see. Many people don't go beyond the lower gates. I'd love to tell you I walked the entire route, but let's be real. There are a lot of stairs, and I had temples to see and food to eat. Priorities. Kyoto is famous for its temples, but if you want to see a different side of its history, Nijo Castle is worth visiting. Built in the early 1600s, it was the official residence of the Tokugawa shoguns when they stayed in Kyoto. The highlight here is the Honmaru Palace, which reopened in late 2024 after years of restoration work. The interiors are incredibly detailed with lavish gold leaf covered walls and elaborate paintings that reflect the power of the shogunate. Unfortunately, photos and videos aren't allowed inside, so I can't share any of what we saw, but it's worth seeing in person if you have a chance. Now, beyond the famous sites, I visited a few quieter spots that felt like hidden treasures. Shinyo-do had some of the most stunning autumn colors I saw on my trip. And unlike major temples, it wasn't crowded. If you're using Google Maps to get here, be aware that it might take you up a steep back entrance instead of the main gate. If you want an easier route, look for the temple's parking lot, which leads you to the main entrance instead. Honen-in felt almost untouched by time. The moss-covered gate makes it feel like nature and architecture are blending together. It's quiet, secluded, and perfect if you want to experience Kyoto's tranquil side. Be careful. Again, Google Maps may lead you up a side entrance, making it easy to miss the main gate with its scenic approach to the inner gate. Because these are hidden gems, you can't just follow the crowds to find the most common route. Hogon-in is a sub-temple of the massive Tenryuji complex, and it's tucked away in western Kyoto. Walking up to the temple, you'll pass dozens of small stone statues, each with its own unique expression. It's a peaceful stroll that sets the tone for the beautiful garden waiting inside. The garden itself is one of the most beautifully designed I've seen in Kyoto, with towering maple trees creating a canopy of red and gold in autumn. The natural flow of the landscape makes it feel almost like a painting. If you have time, there's also a tea room where you can sit and enjoy matcha green tea and a sweet bite while taking in the garden scenery. After walking around so much in Kyoto, it was the perfect place to take a quiet break, sip some matcha, and pretend, just for a moment, that I lived a slower, more contemplative life. You know, the kind where you can appreciate green moss instead of emails. Sanzen-in, located in the mountains north of Kyoto, is one of the most serene and beautiful temples I visited. It has a long history and a rare distinction. It's a Monzeki temple, which means it was traditionally led by abbots from Japan's imperial or noble families. You can see the imperial family chrysanthemum insignia on the temple details. And this connection to the aristocracy made it a temple of great cultural and spiritual importance. As you walk through the grounds, you'll find lush moss gardens, ancient cedar trees, and tiny Jizo statues nestled into the landscape. It's the kind of place that feels almost untouched by time. And one of the best things about Sanzen-in is that it's designed for quiet appreciation. There are spacious tatami rooms where you can sit, relax, and take in the view of the garden. After walking through so many temples in Kyoto, this was the perfect place to just slow down, breathe, and enjoy the surroundings. Just be aware that the only way to get here is by crowded buses and a bit of a walk uphill after that. Now, Kyoto's bus system is generally great, except when you realize you've signed up for a 1.5-hour standing room only workout you didn't know you needed. Coming back from Sanzen-in, if you can, get off early at Yase. It's the first train station you'll come to, and take the train instead. It's way better. Now, one of Kyoto's most iconic experiences has got to be visiting the Arashiyama bamboo forest. Even at sunrise at 7 a.m., there were already people there, but it was much better than going later in the morning when you feel like you're swimming in a sea of tourists. From there, you can take the Sagano Scenic train, a popular old train ride which follows the river through the mountains. Try to book your tickets far in advance through a travel ticketing site. The train ride is popular and seats fill up really quickly. If you're visiting in autumn, I'd recommend trying to get a seat on the left side of the train in the morning. The train switches sides of the river partway through the journey, but on the left side of the train, the morning sunlight hits the leaves from behind, making them glow bright reds and oranges. It's one of the best ways to take in Kyoto's natural beauty that the Japanese have appreciated for centuries. In late autumn and winter, the sun sets early, around 4:30 p.m., and many temples start closing their gates before then. But that doesn't mean the day is over. A great way to spend your evenings in Kyoto is by visiting one of the many seasonal temple light-up events around the city. Toji was the most impressive light-up event. Everything is fully illuminated, making it much easier to see and photograph. Arrive early or go a little bit later after the gates open. There was a massive line to get in, but it moved steadily. Kodaiji had great lighting on the gardens and temple buildings. The bamboo forest at Kodaiji was even lit up to look like there were thousands of fireflies dancing around the grove. Nearby Entoku-in has a wonderful lit-up garden that you can enjoy from a traditional viewing room designed to frame the autumn leaves like a living painting. Kyoto is known for its refined, delicate cuisine, which is great unless you're really hungry. One of my first meals in Kyoto was at Obuya, a small spot inside of Kyoto Station serving ochazuke, that's rice topped with seafood and lightly poached in a broth that you pour over. It was simple, delicate, and delicious, but let's just say if you're starving, this won't be your final stop. The upside, a lighter meal means your stomach won't weigh you down while you're sightseeing, and you can snack along the way if something catches your eye, which, trust me, will happen. For something more filling, I had dinner one night at Gion Tanto, a small okonomiyaki spot in Gion, a famous nightlife district of Kyoto popular with both locals and tourists. Okonomiyaki is often called a savory Japanese pancake with vegetables and various seafood or meat fillings. Their okonomiyaki was perfectly crispy on the outside, soft inside, and packed with flavor. Honestly, just point at a random item on the menu and you probably won't be disappointed. Then there's Inoda's Coffee, a well-known Kyoto cafe famous for its beef katsu sandwich. Most people think of pork or chicken when they hear katsu, but Inoda's serves beef katsu. I had to try it because it's a local Kyoto favorite. And while tasty, it doesn't have the bold seared beef flavor you might expect from a steak or a burger. It's kind of like beef in stealth mode, crispy, refined, and kind of sneaking up on your taste buds. Now, before wrapping up, here are a few travel tips that can make your Kyoto trip even smoother. If you're traveling from Tokyo to Kyoto by Shinkansen bullet train, try to get a seat on the right side of the train. On clear days, you'll get a brief but spectacular view of Mount Fuji along the way. It's also really helpful to have an IC card like a Suica or a Pasmo that you can get at one of the airports after arriving in Japan. Use it to simply tap your way onto trains, subways, and buses in and around Kyoto and the rest of Japan. It makes getting around so much easier than dealing with individual tickets and coins every time you ride. Kyoto has a lot of temples, and many of them charge small entrance fees. It doesn't seem like much at first, but it does add up quickly if you're visiting multiple places in a day. I'd budget around 3,000 to 5,000 yen per day for transportation and temple visits. And before you go, be sure to check if any of the temples on your list require advanced reservations. You don't want to be disappointed after arriving. A lot of visitors hope to see and photograph a geisha in Kyoto. But the reality is that seeing a geisha and their younger apprentice, Maiko, is pretty rare, and they're usually busy going to work. Even if you see one, it's difficult to get a photo without being intrusive. A much easier and more respectful option is to photograph tourists dressed in kimono. Many visitors rent kimono and wear them while exploring Kyoto, and many don't seem to mind posing for photos. They make for great souvenir Kyoto images. And one of the best pieces of advice I can give is, don't be afraid to explore. Kyoto is so picturesque that you can have an amazing experience just by wandering around and letting curiosity lead you. Some of my favorite memories came from unexpected discoveries and chance encounters. After 3 days in Kyoto, I had only scratched the surface. With over 2,000 temples and shrines, I could probably move here and still not see them all. But you know what? That just means I'll have to come back again. And if you're thinking about visiting Japan, be sure to check out my Hokkaido video for a look at Japan's northernmost main island,